So Diddy, after the Cassie lawsuit, gets hit with a bunch of lawsuits, and then ultimately the raids, and then this criminal case.
Let's talk about the filth that's starting to come out in the early days of the Diddy trial. This, of course, is P. Diddy. Surprise, surprise, he's a creep. Surprise, surprise, he's done horrible things.
The glittering empire of Sean Diddy Combs once stood as a beacon of power, wealth, and cultural dominance, but now that empire seems to be crumbling under the weight of explosive allegations that have sent shockwaves through the music industry and beyond. In courtrooms, tabloids, and social media feeds, the narrative of Diddy the mogul is being rewritten as Diddy the accused. Once celebrated as a trailblazer and a kingmaker, he now faces accusations that could bring his legacy crashing down. These allegations don't just scratch the surface, they rip through the carefully crafted image of a man who built his fortune on beats, charisma, and an iron grip on his kingdom. What's being revealed is a story so dark, so twisted that it's leaving even his most ardent supporters stunned. And at the center of it all, a courtroom drama that feels more like a tragic thriller than a legal proceeding.
Centerpiece of a lot of what happened during direct testimony were freak-offs. And what the prosecution tried to show was that he forced and or coerced her into doing these freak-offs. And we've talked about this earlier this week, that at least my opinion is that in a lot of these, the prosecution just didn't close the loop. It was something she felt.
This trial isn't just about a man, it's about a machine, an empire fueled by manipulation, control, and abuse. For decades, Diddy's name was synonymous with success, excess, and power. But now, prosecutors argue, that power was wielded to orchestrate a pattern of behavior so shocking, it's hard to believe it went unchecked for so long. The latest revelations in this trial are nothing short of devastating. Surveillance footage, chilling testimonies, and a web of accusations have painted a picture of a man who allegedly stopped at nothing to maintain control over his inner circle. And as these details emerge, the courtroom has become a stage for a drama that's as captivating as it is horrifying.
Are you surprised by the evidence that's already coming out in the criminal trial?
No, I'm not surprised. I experienced some of those things. Witness violence.
One of the most jaw-dropping moments of the trial came when Capricorn Clark, a former assistant to Diddy, took the stand. Her testimony was a masterclass in courtroom suspense, as she detailed harrowing experiences that could have been ripped straight out of a psychological thriller. The jury was riveted, the audience gasped, and the air in the courtroom was thick with tension as Clark recounted a December evening in 2011 that would change everything. According to her, Diddy, consumed by jealousy and anger, had discovered that his then-girlfriend, Cassie Ventura, was involved with rapper Kid Cudi. What followed, she claimed, was a spiraling descent into chaos. Armed with a weapon, Diddy allegedly ordered Clark to join him on a revenge mission to confront Cudi at his Hollywood Hills home. "Get dressed," he reportedly demanded, his voice cold and menacing. "We're gonna this." Clark's voice trembled as she described being pulled into Diddy's orbit of fear and control. Together with a member of his security team, she said, they stormed into Cudi's home only to find it empty. But the absence of their target didn't diffuse the situation. It only seemed to escalate the tension. The fallout, she revealed, was a violent chain of events that further underscored the depth of Diddy's alleged need for dominance. "I told him that Puff kidnapped me with a gun," she confessed, referring to the mogul by one of his many stage names. Her words painted a chilling picture of a man who, prosecutors argue, used his wealth and power to bend the will of those around him.
So she testified, excuse me, that she was Diddy's ex-assistant. She said he her, sexually assaulted her in various ways multiple times. He exacted unbelievable violence against her, threatened her, one point allegedly threatened to take her phone and use anything on the phone.
But if Clark's testimony shook the courtroom, what came next left it utterly shattered. Cassie Ventura, the woman at the heart of Diddy's alleged reign of terror, took the stand to deliver her own gut-wrenching account. For 4 days, she testified with a mix of composure and raw emotion, peeling back the facade of a relationship that was anything but glamorous. Cassie described orchestrated events known as freak-offs, intimate gatherings that were allegedly planned down to the smallest detail, featuring hired male escorts and substances, all at Diddy's command. Her words painted a haunting picture of coercion and humiliation, leaving no doubt about the toll these encounters had taken on her. "I felt trapped," she said, her voice breaking as she recounted the emotional and psychological prison she lived in for over a decade. As Cassie's testimony unfolded, the courtroom became a theater of human suffering. Jurors watched in stunned silence, their faces betraying a mixture of disbelief and empathy. At times, audible gasps rippled through the audience, particularly when Cassie described the lengths to which Diddy allegedly went to exert control over her. The details were graphic and deeply unsettling, but they were also crucial in painting a portrait of a man who, according to prosecutors, thrived on power and domination. This wasn't just a story of personal abuse. It was a narrative of systemic exploitation, with Diddy allegedly acting as the orchestrator of a criminal enterprise. And then came the smoking gun, quite literally. Surveillance footage presented to the jury showed Diddy physically assaulting Cassie in a hotel corridor. The video, though brief, was devastating in its impact. It was the kind of visual evidence that leaves little room for doubt, and its introduction into the trial marked a turning point. The jury's reactions were telling. Some took meticulous notes, while others appeared visibly shaken, unable to hide their shock. This wasn't just a story being told in words anymore, it was a story caught on camera, a moment frozen in time that could prove pivotal in the trial's outcome.
Referred to me as Wild King Nights. And what a Wild King Night was when him and a guest would go to a hotel room or be at his home, his bedroom, and they would have intimate gatherings. I would have to go and prep that hotel room, which consisted of baby oil Astroglide.
But the revelations didn't stop there. The courtroom was rocked yet again when Los Angeles police testified about the firebombing of Kid Cudi's car, an act allegedly tied to Diddy's company. The details were chilling: a Molotov cocktail thrown into the vehicle, the convertible top slashed open, and the unmistakable message of intimidation it sent. This wasn't just a crime. It was a symbol of the lengths Diddy allegedly went to in order to silence those who crossed him. The car, registered to one of Diddy's companies, became a key piece of evidence in the prosecution's narrative of a man who used fear as his most potent weapon. And then there was Mia, another key witness whose testimony added yet another layer of complexity to an already tangled web of accusations. As the defense attempted to discredit her by dredging up old social media posts, Mia stood her ground, offering a powerful explanation of psychological abuse. "It's called survival," she said, her voice firm despite the weight of the moment. Her words were a stark reminder of the emotional toll that abuse can take, and they highlighted the defense's desperation to shift the narrative. Mia's testimony wasn't just a recounting of events, it was a battle for credibility, and one that she fought with both strength and vulnerability.
They've been afraid of coming forward. They've been afraid of what he could potentially do to them within the industry, what he could do to them professionally, maybe even personally. And so yes, it's been a dark secret they've held on to for a very, very long time.
This trial has become a spectacle, a courtroom drama that feels almost surreal in its intensity. But beneath the headlines and the sensationalism lies a story of unimaginable pain and resilience. As the allegations continue to unfold, one thing is clear. The empire Sean Diddy Combs built is under siege. And the outcome of this trial could change everything we thought we knew about one of music's most powerful figures. Stay tuned, because the drama is far from over. As the trial of Sean Diddy Combs unfolds, what began as shocking allegations has transformed into a full-blown dissection of an empire allegedly built on exploitation, secrecy, and power dynamics. Each day in court pulls back another layer of the music mogul's gilded facade, revealing not only his personal actions, but also a sprawling network of complicity that prosecutors claim stretches far beyond his own deed. The latest developments have taken the drama to unprecedented heights, with new witnesses, uncovered evidence, and the looming shadow of additional investigations turning this legal battle into one of the most captivating and devastating scandals of the decade.
Dishonest, violent, horrible. A promiscuous swinger who lied to and cheated on multiple partners. Incredibly, that's how Sean Diddy Combs' own lawyers describe the billionaire music mogul, currently facing serious trafficking charges in a New York court.
And one of the most chilling revelations to emerge in recent days is the role of Diddy's close associates, many of whom now find themselves under scrutiny. Prosecutors have painted a picture of an intricate machine where employees, security staff, and even high-ranking executives allegedly played a part in facilitating and concealing his alleged misconduct. Capricorn Clark's earlier testimony hinted at this, but new voices are now coming forward to corroborate and expand on the claims. One former employee, who spoke under the pseudonym Jane, described the environment within Diddy's empire as a nightmare disguised as a dream. She recounted instances where she was allegedly instructed to silence witnesses, destroy incriminating evidence, and even mislead authorities.
He cornered me, and then he asked me, with his arm up, he asked me, "How you doing?" I'm kind of like, wow, what the heck? Very uncomfortable. And then he rubbed his hand down my breast. He said, "If you need anything at all, you let me know.
This culture of protection wasn't limited to employees. Several of Diddy's business partners and collaborators are now being called into question. Testimony from legal experts has suggested that some of the mogul's closest allies may have inadvertently or knowingly enabled his behavior by turning a blind eye to what prosecutors describe as a pattern of abuse. Could these revelations spark further legal consequences for those who stood by him? The courtroom drama is now rippling outward, threatening to drag others into the spotlight. While the courtroom drama has focused largely on Diddy's alleged actions and his immediate circle, new details have emerged about his use of private jets, luxury yachts, and extravagant parties to allegedly lure individuals into his orbit. Prosecutors have described these events as hunting grounds, where Diddy would use his charm and influence to draw people into situations that later turned coercive. Testimony from witnesses has painted a picture of environments that seemed glamorous on the surface, lavish buffets, designer decor, and A-list attendees, but were allegedly designed to blur boundaries and lower defenses. These gatherings, often held in secluded locations, were said to be carefully controlled spaces where Diddy's rules reigned supreme. This raises the question, how many of these events were innocent celebrations and how many were part of a larger, more sinister operation? Investigators are now reportedly looking into whether these venues were used repeatedly in a calculated manner to isolate victims and enforce control over them.
The question is he a criminal? Is he basically akin to a mob boss running several criminal enterprises? And while it's very clear to me he is a depraved, disgusting person, we have to prove that he violated the law.
Adding another layer of intrigue, prosecutors have introduced evidence suggesting that Diddy maintained an elaborate network of surveillance and private security to monitor not just his employees, but also his romantic partners and business rivals. Financial records and testimony have revealed payments to firms specializing in private investigations, with instructions allegedly to gather compromising information on specific individuals. This level of monitoring extended to tracking phone calls, following movements, and even photographing interactions deemed suspicious. Prosecutors allege that this network wasn't just about protecting Diddy, it was about creating leverage. By collecting damaging information, he could ensure silence and compliance from those around him. The sheer scale of these operations has left many questioning how such an intricate web of surveillance could have gone unnoticed for so long. Meanwhile, the trial has also turned its focus to newly uncovered financial records that prosecutors argue show how Diddy allegedly used his wealth to maintain control over victims and associates. Bank statements and transaction logs presented in court reveal a pattern of payments to individuals described as key figures in the allegations. These payments, often disguised as consulting fees or business expenses, are now being scrutinized for their true purpose. Was this hush money? Were these payouts designed to buy silence or loyalty? The prosecution claims that these records are a smoking gun, proof of a calculated effort to keep the empire running smoothly while keeping its darkest secrets hidden.
I thought he was this clean businessman who rise to the top because he was such a powerful and smart, educated man. I had no idea that he had this other side to him. And when I started to get exposed to his lifestyle, I started to really realize, this guy has an addiction. It's not just, once every few weeks, it's every day, every hour.
Another bombshell came when new evidence was introduced tying Diddy to an incident involving a former collaborator. According to testimony from a witness identified as Deontay Nash, a stylist who worked with Diddy and Cassie, the mogul allegedly used threats and intimidation to manipulate those around him. Nash described an incident where Diddy reportedly became enraged over Cassie's decision to work on a music project with other artists, including French Montana and Wiz Khalifa. He told her, "If you think you can cross me, you're wrong," Nash testified. He went on to claim that Diddy deliberately sabotaged the project and withheld its release, using his influence to stifle her career as punishment. These claims add yet another layer to the narrative of control and coercion that has defined this trial.
Same kind of extortion that we heard when Cassie took the stand and testified on that airplane ride back from France. Diddy said, "You don't do a freak off, I'm going to release one of the freak off videos that you are profiled in and humiliate you."
But the most jaw-dropping moment of the trial came with the revelation of a private investigator's report allegedly commissioned by Diddy himself. According to the investigator, who was subpoenaed to testify, Diddy had been monitoring several individuals he deemed threats, including ex-girlfriends, former employees, and even rival artists. The report detailed surveillance efforts that included tracking their movements, documenting their social interactions, and even gathering compromising information that could be used as leverage. This revelation has cast a new light on just how far Diddy was allegedly willing to go to maintain his grip on those around him. The trial has also highlighted the fallout for other celebrities whose names have surfaced in connection with Diddy. While none of them are accused of wrongdoing, the mere mention of figures like Britney Spears, Kid Cudi, and Ye has raised questions about their proximity to the mogul during the years in question. Some insiders have speculated that the trial could lead to a broader reckoning within the entertainment industry, where relationships and alliances are often shrouded in secrecy. Could this be the beginning of a larger unraveling, similar to the waves of accountability brought on by other high-profile cases in recent years?
That he has with others, and just because no one else has been charged, which normally in a RICO case you would have others charged. It was a statute that designed to get mob bosses, trying to get at criminal behavior that's like a web of criminal behavior that you can't necessarily prove like the one thing or the statute of limitations expired on the other thing, but you're just showing this bad guy who's operating what's clearly an enterprise that over and over engages in criminal problems.
One of the most intriguing aspects of this trial is the growing speculation about federal involvement. While the current charges are already staggering in scope, whispers of a potential FBI investigation into Diddy's associates have added a layer of suspense to the proceedings. Legal analysts have hinted that the trial may merely be the tip of the iceberg, with further arrests and charges potentially on the horizon. If what we're seeing in this trial is just the surface, imagine what's still hidden beneath, one legal expert commented. The possibility of RICO charges being expanded to include more individuals has turned this case into a ticking time bomb for everyone implicated. And then there's the question of Diddy's legacy. For decades, he was seen as a symbol of success, a man who rose from humble beginnings to become a cultural icon. But as these allegations continue to pile up, that legacy is being rewritten in real time. Fans and critics alike are grappling with the idea that the man who gave us some of hip-hop's most iconic moments may have built his empire on a foundation of fear and exploitation. How does an industry that once celebrated him reconcile with this new reality? And what does it mean for the artists who rose to fame under his guidance?
I'm sorry, I'm just I'm in this moment right now. This is crazy. Sorry. People don't really know how much what it does to you when something that you love is taken from you and thrown away like it don't even matter, and then they move on with their lives and you're stuck. You're stuck during those years. You're still stuck 21 years later.
As the trial hurtles toward its conclusion, one thing is clear: the stakes couldn't be higher. For Sean Diddy Combs, the outcome could mean the difference between freedom and a lifetime behind bars. For the entertainment industry, it's a moment of reckoning that could reshape the way power is wielded and accountability is enforced. And for the public, it's a reminder that even the most untouchable figures can be brought to account. So what happens next? Will Diddy's empire crumble under the weight of these allegations, or will his influence once again shield him from the consequences? Could this trial mark the beginning of a larger purge within the industry, where those who enable and protect predatory behavior are finally exposed? Or will it all fade away, another scandal buried under the relentless churn of the news cycle? We want to know what you think. Share your thoughts in the comments, like this video, and subscribe for more updates on this unfolding saga. This story is far from over, and the truth, it seems, is still unraveling.